Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What It Takes Radio. Many years ago, there was a television series called The Twilight Zone. Perhaps some of you remember it. It was incredible. An incredible broadcasting experience. And Rod Serling, one of the best broadcasters around and a master magician when it comes to the imagination, would often say after a rather eerie theme, "Welcome to the Twilight Zone, where we bring together sight and sound and imagination." Well, on What It Takes Radio, we would like to take a little different tack. We're just a little bit different. We say it's a radio experiment, always an experiment and an experience where hopefully we bring together some insight, some sound, and innovation, inspiration, and imagination. That's who we are, and that's hopefully how we're a little bit different on What It Takes Radio. And indeed, this is our weekday program. We have two weekday programs. They come to you around Tuesday and then a little bit of Thursday, Friday, kind of on demand radio. So it's whenever we can get it together and put it on, but we try and keep a good schedule. We have 10 minutes of clarity. That's all we do. You're busy during the week, so just a little 10-minute program to help you perhaps take a mental snapshot, have a takeaway that you can think about, and perhaps actually do something about that'll help you understand what it takes, and then to design and discover and do what it takes to make some of the changes in your life and business that you would like to do. That's what It Takes Radio is all about. I hope that you will take some time to check us out and perhaps think about how you will participate in this growing experiment and experience. May I share with you just a couple, I oftentimes call them now audio tweaks. Audio tweaks and tweets. Something to kind of tweak your head and perhaps something you can then tweet. Here's one. Computers. They're useless because all they ever do is give you the answers. Computers, they're useless because all they ever do is give you the answers. Now, what do you think that means? Again, think about that. And then something that strikes me and strikes those of us who are involved in What It Takes Radio, the legendary wise man, Bill W. Bill Wilson. Bill W. because he was anonymous. He was the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. And in reflecting on life, he simply said this: without a spirit, without a spiritual life, we die. Without a spiritual life, we die. And again, as I often say, just let those little tweaks and tweets sit on your head for a while. 2 words. I want you to remember these 2 words in our 10 minutes of clarity. We're different. I remember the story. I was watching. It wasn't that I was there, but it was quite a program in which a variety of religious and political and social welfare and other organizations were all talking about what they did and how they brought those things together to create a wonderful social network of benefits for people who were less fortunate and how they would change the world. And it went on and on and on and on, and each one of them told their tale, told their story, and in some respects made their pitch. Toward the very end, the speaker was an elderly spokesperson, and elderly by my standards, because I'm probably one of them. But he'd been a long time in the life experience and perhaps in the battle for good. And he got to the podium and he looked around very quietly, very solemnly. Then he broke into a little bit of a smile and just simply said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're different. We're different." And that was a magic word in life and business. Remember, you've always heard, particularly if you've had any marketing background, that one of the things you do is you're trying to differentiate your product and your service from all the others out there. And so what he did, he simply said those two words, "We're different." And then he didn't talk about what everybody else was. He simply said, "This is how we're different." And of course, it turned out to be the most memorable presentation of the entire conference, because not only was he there and not promoting himself in terms of the traditional stuff, he just simply went on with some simple thoughts about how those who were working with him were different. Now, let this sit on your head. 10 minutes of clarity. If you want to be successful in life and business, oftentimes you're simply going to have to know what to say after "we're different." How are you different from all the other people doing all the same thing? There are hundreds of people out there on the radio for entrepreneurs like us. How are we different? There are thousands of people out there trying to pitch business improvement and life development coaching programs. How are we different? And that's some of the things we'll try and answer, and then in answering the question, hopefully we'll become profoundly and powerfully and perhaps remarkably and hopefully helpful and useful in our difference to you. We're different. I'm not recommending this, but just to give you an example, one of my coaching clients actually was a very clever guy, and his competition came out with an extremely expensive brochure. It was a colorful 4-color flyer, the whole deal, glossy. Probably cost them a lot of money to put that together. And it came to him, and he showed it to me. And he asked me, "Well, should we do one like that?" And I said, "I don't think so." And kind of as I joke, I said, "Maybe you should just hand it out and say, 'This is the other people, and this is how we're different.'" And I was kind of joking, but that's kind of what he did. He got a bunch of the competition's brochures and took them with him. And he had a little card that he printed up, a little note that he said, "This is one of our esteemed competitors, even colleagues. This is what they do. They do it well, but we're different. May I tell you how?" And that's what he handed out, and that's what he did. And it turned out to be rather an exceptional, differing presentation. And he wonderfully said, "Yeah, they do all those things." And of course, the thing is, everything everybody advertises is all the same. "Oh, we give great service." You can all name them. Does anybody advertise they give mediocre service? Almost everything that companies say about who they are and what they do is no different from their competition, from the other people in the marketplace. Here's the deal. Take some time, you and your colleagues right now, 10 minutes of clarity that will make a great deal of money for you. Don't just tell people what you do. Demonstrate how good you are, but then tell them how you're different. How are you different? You know what? Until you can do that, until you have that kind of a 10 minutes of clarity so that you can powerfully explain the big difference in you and all the other people out there, life and business is going to be a little bit tough. So knowing how you're different is part of what it takes. Think about it. How are you different? Write and tell me. Stan at StanHouston.com, Stan at StanHouston.com. And this service is a part of What It Takes Radio. 10 minutes of clarity. We'll see you around.